evening, viewers, and welcome to the latest broadcast of the Evening Review. My name is Ashley Smith, and I'm the news editor of the Namibian Sun. And I'm joined on the hot seat today by my good friend and the editor of Namibian Sun, Toivo Njabela.
Good evening, sir.
How are you doing today?
No, proper. I'm good.
It's been a tough and hard news day.
It has been there's been great fodder for news today.
Yeah. Toivo, maybe we can just before we talk about some of the news items of the day, we can just go to today's front page, and you can basically share with the viewers what has been kind of the new developments on the vessels story, our lead today.
Yeah. So actually, what has been confirmed now, as we did report today, is that government was actually the one that permitted these two vessels to leave the country. The reasons that have been advanced so far is that first, there are no longer any quotas allocated to the company, so they have no business doing in Namibia. They have no business remaining in Namibia. So they are saying one of their vessels went to Mauritania, I think, and then they say the second one went for repair in Spain. Of course, the big question is that more than 200 employees have been left stranded and without jobs. In fact, the company confirms in that story that it will indeed retrench workers, and they will give them some packages that are above what the law stipulates, which is a good thing to do. But you see, the question that is being asked now is whether, it's a tricky one. You keep them here because the only reason that people are saying the ships, the vessels should have remained here is, in pursuit of justice in this fish rot thing.
Yes.
You're being told that the ACC is pursuing the assets of the Icelandic company, and they thought, keeping hold of these vessels would have been one of the ways to do it. But there's no standing court order to attach their items or even any directive from the authorities. So there seems to be no legal basis to keep them here.
I don't want to linger too long on the story, but there's been a big development today from the coast. Leandra Lau gave us an update from the Walvis Bay court.
Yes.
About the captain of the Samherji captain of the vessel Heinesstad.
Yes.
Who was today in court.
Yes. So again, a very, very important development. You see, there's one thing that I like about these coastal magistrates courts. They hand out sentences in record time.
Yes.
There was a case a year ago of robbers who robbed tourists, and within a week they were sentenced. And these guys were just arrested not too long ago. Now they're sentenced already. Also, swift justice, if you ask me.
And you can grab a copy of Namibian Sun tomorrow to see what that sentence was. And just one other thing, Namport also reacting to our front page story today?
Namport reacted. They feel that they're not comfortable being linked to letting these vessels go away. Of course, their statement says that, they issued a statement yesterday which said that they were furnished with all the required documents from the Ministry of Fisheries and elsewhere, and only then did they clear the ships to go. And essentially that is what we said in the story, because as a matter of fact, how we got to know that Namport granted their green light also was after Samherji itself responded to our queries, and they said, look, we did not sneak out of Namibia like it's being alleged. We actually got permission first from government, and we were cleared by Namport, and that is exactly what we reported.
And of course, moving on to the biggest news of the day, which is the Supreme Court decision on the application to have the election nullified. That failed, but an important victory in some aspects for the applicants. I
think a lot of people are saying it's a bizarre ruling. I don't agree with the notion, because of course there's the fact that provisions of the way the ECN conducted the elections, whereby they sort of sidestepped some elements of the Electoral Act, as far as the use of the EVM is concerned. And so that conduct was declared unconstitutional. The court coming out and saying that going forward, the entire provision of the Electoral Act, especially where it is required that EVMs must have a paper trail, must be the case going forward. I think that is a huge, significant victory, political victory, if you may, for the applicants. The fact that the court said the respondents must pay more than half of the legal costs.
I think 2/3 was
yes, definitely. So also tells you that the court recognizes that this was a legitimate pursuit for justice, and therefore you cannot penalize those that sought to have things rectified. So you could sense the kind of direction they wanted to take. So overall, a huge political victory.
And of course, there was lots of reaction today. We want to play you, viewers, a first clip that we have from the Supreme Court. And we spoke to the ECN chairperson, Notemba Shipua.
Thank you very much for the interview. We have listened to the judgment, and the ECN has prepared a sound case. And of course, the case has been heard by the Supreme Court. The applicants also prepared their case. The Supreme Court has considered the arguments of both parties and have given the judgment accordingly. We as ECN, we uphold the rule of law and we will comply with the outcome of the judgment, and we are satisfied with the outcome of the judgment. And any future elections, what mode of voting will be used, the Commission will decide, but clearly it is clear that the order of the Minister has been set aside so that EVMs with VVPAT will not be used in the future after the 21st March. But the Electoral Act provides for two modes of voting, either by ballot paper or by EVM. So in future, that will be decided by the Commission what mode of voting will be used in consultation with stakeholders.
And of course, the second clip that we have from the Supreme Court, Toivo, is from the Attorney General,
yes,
Mr. Albert Kawana.
Yes.
And this was his reaction to the judgment today.
I'd like to say to this nation, peace, stability, harmony is the most important that we have maintained since our independence. We have always said, and first and foremost, our President, His Excellency Dr. Hage Godfrey Genigo, that in this country, as a democracy, we have systems, processes, and institutions. Part of those institutions are our judiciary, which is completely independent. We have maintained an independent judiciary from day one of our independence. So those who have grievances, there's no reason to resort to unconstitutional, illegal activities. They must follow the letter and the spirit of the law, and they will get justice where justice is due to them. Regarding this judgment, I'm happy. It's a balanced judgment in my view, which I hope all Namibians should accept. This is a judgment that has been handed down by the highest court.
And of course, joining one of the prominent opposition leaders who joined Dr. Pande Tula at the Supreme Court today was Popular Democratic Movement leader McHenry Vanani, and this is what he had to say after the judgment.
EVMs without VVPAT. It's because the ruling party is benefiting from these EVMs without VVPAT. Those of journalists that have been watching our debates in the National Assembly, you know that all ministers were disagreeing with us on the question of VVPAT. So the opposition is exonerated. We have been very consistent saying that you cannot have a transparent election without a verifiable audited paper trail. And I think we must thank the justice systems of Kenya, of India and Germany, because their persuasive authority has helped our own judiciary to arrive at that. Because technicalities would have been used had those persuasive jurisdictions of those countries have not ruled in this, because it was very difficult for our own judiciary to rule otherwise if you have more than 3 persuasive judgments of independent judiciaries of other countries. Thank you very much.
And of course, the man of the hour, Dr. Tula himself.
The fundamental thing to take into consideration is the Namibian Constitution as the supreme law. Under that Constitution, we created 3 organs which are independent: the legislature, the executive, and the judiciary. With the rule of law as one of the fundamental principles upon which our state is based, democracy, rule of law, and justice, without rule of law, the judiciary cannot be independent. What we observe today is a careful assessment of the manner in which the Namibian people express themselves in accordance with Article 17 of the Namibian Constitution to participate in the political activities peacefully in order to influence the composition and policies of government. That participation, we argued, was not transparent in the absence of a paper trail. We must recall that Section 97, subsection 3, the last 12 words says that, and any vote cast is verified by a count of a paper trail. Subsection 4 states that where there is a dispute between the electronic outcome, as seen by the screen, and the paper trail becomes the result of that specific polling station. At the moment, the outcome of the elections were not verified by a paper trail. The court acknowledged that, and the respondents also acknowledged that. What is significant for the Namibian people is that whereas I was the face of that march for change and implementation of just processes in the process of seeking their leaders, that march has not been stopped by the judgment of the court until such time the consequences of today's government has been remedied. The corruption in the government has to be taken out. Our students and our children need to go to schools. Our hospitals need to have enough medicine for our doctors to care our people. Our workers, the fisheries, etc., needs to ensure that they've got jobs to feed their families.
Enjoy extra flexibility with Extra View from DSTV. It lets you pop a TV up here, another over here, and one more up here. And great news, Namibia! You can now link up to 3 Extra View capable decoders and have the whole family enjoy their favorite shows in 3 different rooms at the same time, all under a single subscription. To find out more, visit dstv.com and enjoy extra viewing freedom for everyone.
And welcome back, viewers. And on a much, much lighter note, we have with us Limba Mupatani, who's our sports reporter. Welcome, Limba.
Thank you, Ashley.
Fantastic to have you. You had a very interesting day today with the probably who many regard as the best tennis player in the history of the sport, Roger Federer, visiting Namibia and paying a very, very good visit to our president, Dr. Hagi Geingob. What were your impressions of Mr. Federer?
He seems like a very dedicated person. You know, his visit was actually not about sports, but he's here for some work that he's doing with his foundation. They're trying to, what is it? They have an initiative where they try and make, or rather, they're trying to get young people into formal education. So they teach them how to read, how to write, and obviously things like that. But with that opportunity, it gave me a chance to also ask him a little bit about sports and what Namibia can do to produce elite athletes, I mean elite tennis players. And one of the things that he said was that, you know, our leaders in sport need to work together in order to make that happen. Because Namibia is very vast, and obviously now every region most probably wants to produce the best tennis player. But if people were to just pool resources together, and obviously also with the help of the government, that was his emphasis, like with the help of the government, you know, because tennis is what you'd call it's a wealthy sport. You know, it's very expensive to buy rackets. It's the shoes. You know, you need the right type of equipment and so forth. So his emphasis was that government should also chip in, you know, and try to help these athletes. Yeah.
Well, Limba, thank you for your time. Just one last thing. There's a big exhibition match happening in Cape Town where Roger Federer will be playing.
Yeah, I think that it would pull a very large crowd, you know, because South Africa is actually his mother's.
That's correct.
Yeah, his mother's country. I mean, his mother comes from there, but he hasn't actually ever played tennis in South Africa before, in Southern Africa. So it's his first time. So I think it will be very big.
Limba, once again, thank you for joining us, and it was a pleasure having you in the studio.
Always a pleasure.
Thanks so much.
This is bigger. Everything, but it's the skin of. Wow. We cannot do illegal things from State House. Don't want to do that.
Thank you so much, viewers, for joining us again this evening on the Evening Review, and we'll see you all tomorrow. Same time, same place.